In the golden sands of Egypt's Mediterranean coast, something unexpected is happening. Not in Cairo, not along the Nile, and not in the ruins of an ancient temple, but on a quiet stretch of shoreline that until recently barely made the headlines. Here, the Egyptian government has sold a slice of its prized coastline to the United Arab Emirates for $35 billion in cash and another $23 billion in investments. The goal? To transform a resort town into a glimmering megacity, complete with skyscrapers, yachts, and lavish resorts built to impress the world's elite. In short, Egypt is trying to build its own Dubai. But why now? Why here? And more importantly, can it actually work? To understand why Egypt is doing this, you first need to understand what Egypt's economy looks like today, and it's not pretty. The country is grappling with one of its worst financial crises in decades. Inflation has soared to over 30%, and the Egyptian pound has lost more than half its value against the dollar in just a few years. Food prices have become unbearable for ordinary Egyptians, and foreign currency is in such short supply that banks are struggling to finance imports. To put it simply, Egypt is broke, and when you're broke, selling beachfront land to a rich neighbor starts to sound a lot like survival. But Egypt didn't just sell any land. Ras El Hekma is no random plot. It's arguably one of the most desirable coastal locations in the country. Turquoise waters, soft white sand, and a summer season that draws Cairo's elite and Gulf tourists alike. In fact, Ras El Hekma is already known among locals as an upscale escape, where chalets rent for thousands of dollars per week during the high season. Enter the UAE, specifically a government-backed company called AIDQ, one of Abu Dhabi's largest holding firms. In February 2024, Egypt and the UAE announced a deal to develop Ras El Hekma into a world-class city, complete with high-rise towers, marinas, five-star resorts, and a brand new airport. The scale is staggering. The planned development area spans 170 square kilometers. The Egyptian government expects this to become the most prominent city on the Mediterranean coast, a direct competitor to cities like Dubai, Doha, and even Monaco. But here's the twist. Egypt isn't building this city alone. In fact, it's more like leasing the land. The UAE is footing much of the development cost, taking the lead on planning, construction, and financing. Dubai wasn't always Dubai. In the 1990s, it was still a relatively modest city in the Gulf, with oil as its primary income source. Fast forward 3 decades, and it's now the Middle East's glittering metropolis, home to the tallest tower in the world, artificial islands shaped like palm trees, and more luxury cars per capita than almost anywhere else. Dubai's success didn't just come from oil, it came from vision. It built an entire economic model based on tourism, real estate, finance, and trade, especially by becoming a tax-free playground for the wealthy. Egypt wants in on that model. Except instead of creating a business haven in the desert, it wants to build one on the Mediterranean, so why Ras El Hekma instead of Cairo? Well, unlike the traffic-clogged capital, Ras El Hekma has space, lots of it. It has clean air, beautiful beaches, and year-round sunshine, and most importantly, it doesn't have Cairo's baggage. No congestion, no old infrastructure, and no political protests. For investors from the Gulf, Ras El Hekma is a clean slate. Here's where it gets interesting. The $58 billion deal is more than just an exchange of land for cash. Egypt gets $35 billion up front, most of it in much-needed foreign currency, and another $23 billion in long-term investments. To give you a sense of scale, $35 billion is more than Egypt's entire foreign currency reserves before the deal. That's not just helpful, it's a lifeline. The money is being used to stabilize Egypt's currency, repay debt, and unlock a new $8 billion bailout from the IMF. So yes, Egypt is selling prime real estate, but in exchange it gets a shot at economic stability. Still, not everyone is cheering. Many Egyptians are skeptical. Why, they ask, is the government selling land instead of fixing the economy? Critics see it as a short-term fix that gives away national assets to foreign investors. Others worry the project will become an exclusive enclave for the rich, closed off from the average Egyptian, and there's some truth to that. Early reports suggest most of the development will cater to wealthy residents and tourists. It's unlikely to address Egypt's broader housing crisis or unemployment problem, and while the government says the project will create hundreds of thousands of jobs, details are still vague. But perhaps the bigger question is whether Ras Al Khaimah can actually compete with Dubai. Dubai has been playing the luxury city game for decades. It has the infrastructure, the tax breaks, the international appeal, and the brand. Ras Al Khaimah, it doesn't even have a functioning airport, but it does have some advantages. For one, it's much closer to Europe. A flight from Berlin to Ras Al Khaimah would take less than 4 hours, almost half the time of a trip to the UAE. That makes it an attractive destination for European tourists and second home buyers. Second, it has natural beauty. Dubai's artificial islands are impressive, sure, but Ras Al Khaimah has actual beaches, pristine waters, and cooler Mediterranean weather. And third, it has backing. With Abu Dhabi pumping billions into the project, Ras Al Khaimah doesn't need to prove itself overnight. It just needs to attract enough early interest to get the ball rolling. So what exactly are they building? The plans include a new international airport near the city center, dozens of luxury hotels and resorts, a 35-kilometer waterfront promenade, an expansive marina for yachts and cruise ships, residential neighborhoods with villas, condos, and high-rise towers, business districts, shopping centers, and international schools. In short, a city built from scratch. There are even rumors that Ras Al Khaimah could become Egypt's first free economic zone, with relaxed taxes and foreign ownership rules. That's not confirmed yet, but if it happens, it would mark a dramatic shift in Egypt's investment policy, and make Ras Al Khaimah even more appealing to wealthy foreigners. But if history has taught us anything, mega projects rarely go as planned. Construction delays, cost overruns, and political instability could all derail progress. And if global real estate markets cool off, or if the UAE changes its mind, Ras Al Khaimah could join the long list of half-finished cities in the Middle East. But Egypt is betting that won't happen. It's hoping Ras Al Khaimah will become the jewel of the Mediterranean, a rival to Dubai, Monaco, and even Miami. Will it work? Well, that depends on more than just sand and skyscrapers. It depends on whether Egypt can create the systems, legal, economic, and social, that make cities thrive. And that's still a big question mark. At the end of the day, Egypt is gambling on a future where Ras Al Khaimah becomes the face of a new economy. A future where luxury real estate replaces debt, tourism replaces inflation, and Gulf investors replace IMF bailouts. It's a bold vision, and a risky one. But when the present feels unstable, sometimes the future is the only thing left to sell. There is currently no time frame for the completion of this project from the United Arab Emirates or Egyptian governments. So what do you think? Can Ras Al Khaimah really become the next Dubai? Or is Egypt building a dream it may never fully finish? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.